Hello everyone. I don't really know how to start this video. Today I'm going to be telling you guys a story of a time I was playing in a comp lobby and someone raged so hard they ended up throwing their controller and breaking something. So let's just get right into the story. And subscribe. The story was like a year ago. I'd been playing comp for like a year, so I was pretty used to the whole toxicity thing and people yelling at each other over gorilla tag. We've all seen people rage before, it's fun to watch. On this particular day, I was playing comp and I joined this first lobby of the day. And it was actually pretty tame, like nothing was really going on. There weren't even that many people that had mics and everyone was kind of just playing normally. After like 15 minutes of playing tag, there was one kid that joined, and he was pretty toxic. He was just like, he would always be talking trash no matter how well he was actually doing. Like, he could just be completely losing and still be talking trash a lot. We all know them. So he was being pretty toxic, and it just kind of kept going on for like 10 minutes. But then another toxic kid joined, and that ended up being the most entertaining monkey showdown I've ever seen. Y'all know when there's two super toxic players in a game, it always ends up being really fun to watch. The first one that joined was a decent amount better than the second one. So when the first game ended, the first toxic player was it first. And the second player was already like trash talking. This is just on a side note. But why did the creators of gorilla tag make it so you can't mute people anymore? You have to have monkey noises, like really? Whose idea was that? And you can't mute yourself either? Like why? So the second toxic player was talking a lot of trash already. Within the first like minute of the match starting, they were already like arguing. Just calling each other trash. And like I said, the first player was a lot better, and he tagged him in like 30 seconds of that argument starting, which obviously made the second player mad, because he'd been talking all that trash, and then just instantly gets tagged. And then soon after that, the match ended, and they were still going at it. The second match started, and like magic, the second toxic player was it. So the first toxic player saw that, and he was like right next to him, and he like did an L in his face and ran away, which is a pretty disrespectful move. If I was ever playing tag, someone did an L in my face, I don't care how good of a friend they are, I'm going after them. And only them. Because that is just disrespect. So obviously the second player goes after the first player, because like, what do you expect? They've been talking trash all game. And he just did an L in his face. So the second player, that's it, starts chasing the first player. He's not chasing anyone else. Someone that's not it, just completely out in the open could have been there, and he wouldn't even looked at him. Like, he was locked on player one. But like I said, player one was a lot better. So he ended up running for like 7 minutes straight and not even getting tagged. The only reason he got tagged was because his controller died. Obviously Toxic Kid 2 was mad about it, and he was talking a lot of trash. Even though it took like 7 minutes to tag him, Toxic Player 2 can trash talk even if he was doing really badly. Like I said, he just like didn't really care. Once he tags him, they start arguing because obviously it had taken 7 minutes to tag him. Since he was talking trash after taking 7 minutes to tag him, Player 1 was talking a lot of trash back, because I think it's a fair argument. If it takes 7 minutes to tag you, then you have something to like, you have something to back you up with. Because like really, 7 minutes? How do you take that long to tag someone and still trash talk? Like, player 1 had a lot more ground to stand on there. So they are arguing, and Toxic Player 2 said, imagine getting tagged. He said, imagine getting tagged because you're too dumb to charge your controllers. Which is honestly just ridiculous, because like, we've all had our controllers die before. In game, it's just annoying. And Toxic Player 1 came back with the obvious thing that it took him really long to tag him, and he probably wouldn't have even tagged him for a long time if his controller didn't die. And the whole lobby's agreeing with him because like, he's right. That round ended, and the fight was pretty bad. Like, they were still arguing, and they were like yelling to their microphones at this point. Like, they were not holding back at all. I heard mom jokes flying around, that's how you know it's bad. Like, it's all just a game and not that deep until they say something about your mom. That's how you know it's a real argument. And then the third match starts, and this time I'm it first. And the whole lobby was like watching how this was going, and I knew that I had to tag one of them first. I chase after Toxic Player 1 first, because I want to see how fast he tags Toxic Player 2. So I get him. Because he was a lot better than Toxic Player 2, but he wasn't really that much better than me, so I got him pretty fast. And then he goes after Toxic Player 2, and it takes him about 20 seconds to tag him. And when he gets tagged, he just starts like throwing his fists in the air. He was so mad. You know what people do when they're really mad in VR, they kind of just like start punching the air. So this kid was doing that, and it was a very intense game. He was running around a lot. So I'm gonna guess his hands were pretty sweaty. And then something very unexpected happened. So he's throwing his fist in the air, he's mad. And then all of a sudden his arm just like fully extends really fast. And you just hear glass shatter in his microphone. Like if you told me that he just broken like 10 windows at once, I'd believe it. Because it was loud. And immediately he just takes his headset off. And when that happened, the whole lobby like froze. Everyone just ran over to him. After a second, people just started laughing. Because they were shocked, but it kind of wore off. And everyone realized what he just did, and everyone just started laughing at him. And he had his headset off, but we could hear him, and he yells "shut up" at his headset from far away. It was pretty funny. And then you hear that dreaded word, "what was that?" coming from someone in the background. It wasn't like indoor voices, it was a yell, a scream you could say. And for some reason this kid decided to say, "oh, it was nothing, just don't worry about it." Then you hear door open, and then you just hear yelling, just like arguing and screaming. And keep in mind, the whole lobby can hear this, and everyone's just like laughing so hard. Because he was toxic to everyone too, doing L's in people's faces, just really annoying things. So when that happened, everyone's laughing at him, making fun of him through the headset. Since he's AFK, it kicks him out eventually, but the story doesn't end there, because like 2 weeks later, I ran into him into a lobby, and this time I asked him what had happened, because I was dying to know. And he just says "shut up" to me, calls me trash at the game, you know, toxic kid things. But I think his mom was in the room when he said that, and I don't think she liked that he said "shut up." And his mom just said, "what, you don't want to tell him at the time you broke our super nice vase?" And then he just leaves. So turns out he had thrown his controller in rage, and it hit a vase, knocked it over, and it shattered all over the ground. Which is pretty embarrassing, because like, how are you gonna be so toxic and all that, and then break a vase, and then if anyone asks you what happens, you won't say? And that's the last I ever saw of him. Probably uninstalled the game out of embarrassment that he'd ever see one of us again, and we'd be asking him why, how that happened. So the moral of this story is basically, wear your wrist straps, and don't go insane when you get tagged. It's really not that deep, it's just Gorilla Tag. So if you like this video, then like, I would like if you liked it, and tell me in the comments if you like this story time type video. Because if you do, then I'll make more, because they're really fun to make. And you guys can send me your stories on Discord, and if I like them, then I'll probably make a video on them. So tell me in the comments if you like these story time videos. Also, one more thing before I go. If you ever see someone with this color code in a game, which is, you don't get to know, and their name is something like Ancient or something, and they're wearing the shark badge and the sweatband hat, their name is like Ancient or something, it's probably me. Because I like to disguise when I go into lobbies in case, by some ridiculous chance that I get recognized. This is kinda awkward. So yeah, if you see that, then it might be me. Bye.